Welcome to the Arsenal show. We are ejection, capitulation. There's so many words that can be used for what has happened this past week. But now is the time for people to get it off their chests before we give the end of season review, which will probably be next week, which will be probably a bit more balanced than now. Right now is not about being balanced. Right now is about letting your feelings out, how you feel about not only yesterday's game, Tottenham's game, and also the fact that Arsenal have massively missed out on a big opportunity of getting top this season. I'm joined by Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Good evening, Kieron. Good evening, everybody out there. This wasn't meant today, believe me, because it's black and white and a black hat. I just realised just before I come on. Maybe that was a mistake. Apologies to all who are not happy about that.
And we are joined by Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine. Fine, thank you.
So, we're going to go to you first, seeing as you wasn't on yesterday's post-match reaction. Was you here for the Tottenham one as well?
I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wasn't on the reaction for the Spurs one. No, I've missed a couple of interesting reactions.
Yes. All right. We won't dwell on the Spurs one, but we're going to bring it back in at one point. What was your thoughts on yesterday's game, Jerome?
It wasn't even a game, was it? It was too one-sided to be an actual game. I was speaking to Steve just earlier, and sometimes we say that we can tell after maybe 5 or 10 minutes what type of game we're going to have, and sometimes we do start off poorly, but you think, okay, we'll get into gear soon. But for me, that is definitely the first half, the worst 45 minutes we've played all season. Not only the worst 45 minutes we've played all season, I've never seen us get battered by a team. I don't think ever, even when we were playing Barcelona, when back in the day, when we were just completely dominated in every area, and it didn't look like men against boys. It didn't look like Premier League against Championship. It looked like people that have never played football before against a professional football team. It was the difference between the two teams. I've never seen it before. And just to sort of sum it up, before the game, looking at sort of Newcastle at home, they've been picking up quite a few wins at home. They've had a good record recently, but normally they average between 30 and 40% possession. And against us, I think in the first half, they had about 68% possession or something like that.
69% to 21 was at one point.
We didn't touch the ball. I don't think we strung maybe 3 or 4 passes together. They were just on us like a rash. And we had no answer to it. Even when midway through the first half, Arteta, maybe when Tomiyasu went down, I think he huddled all the players together in a group to obviously give them some instructions. Didn't make a blind bit of difference. And even the half-time team talk, we were just it was just a complete domination of one team over another. And if you're gonna lose losing the battle for fourth place, that's not the way to do it at all. There could be a number of reasons for that, which we might touch on: injuries, players being absolutely shattered. But I couldn't believe what I was seeing, to be honest with you. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, Steve, you've had a little bit of time to think. Has anything changed from your thoughts from last night? Steve, sorry. Obviously, there was a glitch.
What happened
there? Everyone's just staring at each other. You had a little bit of time since last night. Has any of your opinions changed on the game or what you saw?
No, not on the game, not on the way we played. That stays the same as what I said last night. I've sort of tried to sit down. I've tried to sort of analyse it, and I've tried to do what probably Mikel Arteta tried to do, after the game, which was to sit out and think, like, why, what happened? You know, why? I think you've got to do that. Hopefully we do that tonight. It was, I don't think Newcastle beat us because they're a good side. I don't think Newcastle, I don't even think really Newcastle played that well. I really don't. I just think I'm one of these people who never likes to turn around and say, you won because we were awful. But on last night, I didn't think Newcastle were all that. But we made them look like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, Liverpool, Man City, right? Because we just rolled over. I don't know. And Jerome's already said there that it's probably the worst performance that he's seen this season. Mate, I can't remember a performance like that ever. I'm struggling. Can someone tell me when you've seen Arsenal play worse than that last night? When you think what was at stake last night, it was like as if they did not want to go into the Champions League. It was like under Emery, where we were 6 games to go. I think we had to get something silly like 6 points in 6 games. And for some reason, Arsenal players just decided to stop playing. Now, I don't know what that is, why that is. I don't know if that's something in some of the players that are still there. But that's the closest. I have never seen Arsenal play that bad. Never, ever. I can't, I'm sure that there must be. I'll be surprised if there is. But it was an awful performance. Like Jerome said, we may go into the reasons why it was so bad and who was to blame later on. But as I say, I'm still trying to get my head around it. And I'm still stuck for words. I can't believe what I saw last night.
Jerome, Arsenal once again go behind. Did it ever feel like there was any time where they might score a goal?
Nah. The only
why
time
can they not come from behind it and pull it back when we're away from home? That's an additional question.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, the only time I thought we might nick a goal is either from a set piece, like a corner, or when Saka had the ball in like a dangerous position, and you fancy he might beat someone and either have a shot himself or put it across. Other than that, like sort of on the counter attack, which we didn't really have too many of them. We had a couple in the first half, perhaps. Why can we not come from behind? I think it's a mixture of reasons. I think it's a quality reason in terms of the quality that we've got, and it must be as well a psychological thing in terms of either the heads drop. There's not enough belief in the team that they can get a goal back, and that either comes from the manager that needs to like instill the belief in them, the confidence, or it needs to come from maybe some leaders on the pitch, perhaps to G them up a bit. But it's a big worry that record in terms of when we do concede first, how many goals we've scored after conceding first, and how many times we can come back and win a game. Because if you concede the first goal in a game and you can't come back from it, then that is a big worry going forward. And I think it's a mix of reasons really. And it's got to be something they've got to change next season. Otherwise, there's no way we'll be able to challenge for the top places if that continues.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Steve, what do you think the problem is with regards to not being able to, once that goal goes in away from home? Because it's not as if the teams that we've been up against when we have gone down, that we put aside last night's game, put aside the loss to Tottenham, and we look back at the loss to Southampton, for instance. Southampton weren't great. Arsenal weren't great, but it wasn't the worst game I've seen them play. But once again, they couldn't find the net when they probably had about 70% possession in that game. What's the problem?
Lack of leaders. Lack of leaders on the football pitch. Well, you go behind, right? You need your captain, or you need leaders on the football pitch to turn around, and because you got youngsters there, you got young players. You say, right, we're 1-0 down, let's go. We've got no leaders. We haven't got any leaders on that football pitch. None. Absolutely none. So when we go behind, they're waiting for their skills or these big magical moments that we produce every now and then to get us back into games, or to, at least get a draw in the game. But that don't always happen every week. You can't, and it totally shows when you look at our last 10 games where we've lost against teams that we should have beat, like Southampton and Crystal Palace and Brighton, and then you go and beat Chelsea, and you go and beat West Ham, go and beat United. It screams and screams of lacks of leaders. It screams of it, because when they go behind against an inferior side, you go, right, shit, we've just gone behind. We didn't expect that. But it's like the younger players are like, oh, God, we're 1-0 down. What are we going to do? It's a bit like that. So you need leaders on the football pitch, and you need more than one. You can't just have one leader. You need players to take the ball at the scruff of the neck. Our players seem to if we go behind, we're fine if we start quick, right? I think that's why Arteta wants us to start quick every game. I don't think he's a silly manager. Arsenal are at their best when they come out firing, right? Boom, right from the off, because he knows that if we go behind early, we're knackered. 9 times out of 10, because when we go behind, heads drop, and we haven't got the leaders on the pitch. We've got the only elder statesmen we've probably got is Granit Xhaka, and the only other one is probably Cedric, who's not that type of player. And then you go into Onene. Apart from that, we've got a bunch of young children, young kids who are still learning the game. We've said about it for God knows how long now, about how these players should be rested, how these players, have been doing too much. And oh my God, last night did that show, because some of our so-called stars. And look, let's face it, they are stars. They're stars of the futures, yeah, they are. But they need old heads in the pitch when the times are down, and they need to be picked up, right? And it's not there.
A prime example of, literally a physical prime example of what you just said there. When they are down, they need to be picked up. How many times have you seen it at the end of a game when a team's lost, and the younger players, or there's players sitting on the floor, slouched down, and then the captain or an older statesman or an older player will come along, pick them up, drag them up. They don't want to get up. They get dragged up, get your head up, and come on, clap the fans or do whatever. Not one player did that last night. When all those players were on the floor, lifeless, not one player picked them up. And the same thing happened against Tottenham. No one is there to pick these kids up. It's frightening. It's frightening. They're left to Did you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when Wenger tried to set up the England backbone team with the likes of Wilshere, Ramsey, Great British, and you looked around, and there was just no one there to help these around them. They had a couple of players, but those players were always, are they going to leave? They're probably going to leave. The Van Persies, they're probably going to leave because they're too good for our team. And then you've got the youngsters looking around for older heads when the chips are down and there's not anyone there. They need to look at this. It doesn't have to be you're getting an older team to try and do it, or you're getting a younger team. There needs to be a bit of balance with it. You need to bring in experienced players who have been there, seen it, and done it. Do you know what I mean? And it also don't mean that as soon as you do bring in one player, you get rid of someone because they're past the age of 30 or past the age of 25. It doesn't mean that either. That's the problem as well. I'm not talking about our fans, because our fans can say what they want, but they don't mean shit. It's the club that are doing it. It's the club that are going, oh, do you know what? Ship him out. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Just get in youth. Don't get any older heads in there. Don't get any experience. Like, even the players that we're linked with, like the likes of Gabriel Jesus and all these other players, like, you're like, yes. It's got a bit of both. Even all the players that we seem to be linked with at the moment, they seem to be 25 and experienced internationals with league titles behind them. I'll take that all day long. But there's a worry now that because we're not getting Champions League, that these players aren't going to come. So I have a serious worry that the heads will be turned by other teams that have potentially got into that top 4 spot. Steve, I'd ask you, what do you feel like the situation will be with regards to Arsenal and the incoming players? Because I know that teams will have like a few lists. But what do you feel is the next step in with regards to making sure that this finish to the end of the season doesn't put too much of a dampener on what has actually been progression?
They got obviously as far as the league goes. I mean, it's over, isn't it? You know, the league is dead. It's, you know, the only thing that we can hope from the Everton game is that they, you know, we can see something that they've picked themselves up and we can win our last game. I mean,
no matter what, they still need to finish on a high, don't they?
They still need to finish on the high, and that's what I'll be looking for. I'll be looking for the fact that they're going to go out there, and they've been given a few kicks up the arse in training, and they'll go out there and they'll prove to us that there's something there. And look, I'm sure, and there is. Look, we've seen these players play all season, Kieron, right? We've seen them, and they've done really well. Right, they've done really well. The Smith Rowes, the Odegaards, the Sakas, they've been brilliant. Yeah, they've been brilliant. They've just failed the final hurdle, which is what we were worried about. We need to show that, if anything, we need to show other players now in this last game that, you know, we're capable of next season of challenging for that Champions League. Because, like you said, it is now a worry. I'm worried. I'm worried now. And I'm sure the manager's worried. I'm sure Edu's. I mean, how do you get these players? It's not going to happen just because we go and beat Everton 4-0 on the last day of the season. There's got to be things done behind the scenes now, and they can't piss around. Look, we said back in January. I came on here and I said, I just knew it. I knew it. I knew when we didn't bring no one in. If you're a football man and you've watched football all your life, you know full well that, you know, with players like Nketiah and Lacazette, they're not going to get you champion. They're not going to last the whole season. And then you've got to open players like Smith Rowe and Xhaka, and they can keep going all through the season. It didn't happen, right? We didn't get no one in the champion in the window, right? And I don't think that was because Arteta. I think the board, apparently the board that's backed us, right, which I keep hearing from Arsenal fans, bullshit that they've backed us. They've backed us shit, right? They backed us. We're the one window club, right? They have cost us, the board, Champions League football, right? And there they could have cost us another 2-3 years back in Europe because players don't want to come to our club. They should have. We could have had players. We could have bought players in. We could have paid the extra 6 million for Melo. We didn't want to. That's obviously cost us because obviously Partey's injury. Well, I could go on on that, and it'll probably go on to more in the review. But I'm going back to the board again. I'm going back to the board. They've absolutely. We're talking about Arteta and the players let us down. Start from the top. If they would have done what they should have done in January, we wouldn't be. I am 100% sure we would not be having this conversation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Josh and Mr. Stan. Cheers.
Yeah, you do have to look at what we done in January. 100%. I think the general consensus was not happy at the end of that transfer window, and as you said this is going to come back to bite us. And I think I said at the time, I'm not going to say anything because otherwise it will just be me moaning for the next however many weeks. But I mean, I tell you what, this is the time. This is the time to let it out because, as you've seen, like it was clear. It was clear, and you've gambled with not just whatever the £50 million they say that you get from, or £100 million you get from being in the Champions League. As Steve said, that's potentially 2 or 3 seasons now. Who's to say Arsenal are going to get back next season? I'm not buying into the notion that this is our only chance of getting in there, because I feel like if you build your team better, if you bring in the right players next season, then yes, you'll be playing more games, but you've got better quality. And that better quality in them times when you are a bit tired will have that individual bit of brilliance or just that team togetherness, which will take you over the line. So, yes, it will be harder because everyone's going to strengthen, but hopefully Arsenal strengthen. Other teams are going to be better in the league. Yes, cool. But there's also teams where we expected them this season to be brilliant, and they weren't. Everton, people were saying that we're going to be ahead of Arsenal in the league. Aston Villa, people were saying we're going to be ahead of Arsenal at the start of the season. They're nowhere near. They're nowhere near.
Yeah.
Wolves, another team that everyone said that Arsenal were going to be behind in the season. Brighton, because they had a great start. All these teams, they all said that Arsenal will be behind. And Arsenal were way ahead of them, light years ahead of them. But what they need to do next season is make sure, as you said, they need to pay that extra money now, because that's what's going to bring those players in. Because everyone wants to play in the Champions League, but if you show the willingness that you want this player there, if you show a bit more money, usually that you've got to pay to say, look, we're at the Champions League this season, but look, a bit of extra money and you get over the line. Look at Newcastle. How'd they go out and get Bruno Gomes, a player that Arsenal were looking at and linked with for ages? How did Aston Villa get Philip Coutinho? How did all these clubs get these players when they were only ever going to play in a Champions League club? Because if I say I'm going to only play in a Champions League club, that means you better pay me 20 grand, 30 grand extra more if I'm not playing in the Champions League. That's what that means. Everyone wants to play in it, but if you show that you're going to pay the money to get into it by paying those players extra, then they'll show that actually these people are serious. They want to get there.
Yeah, I think if
go on.
Yeah, I was going to say if you're an owner now of one of the top clubs and you're competing now and you want to either challenge for Champions League places or win the league, like Kroenke said, I think when he was interviewed recently, we want to be challenging for the top prizes in the game. If that's the case, you've got to go above and beyond the call of duty. You've got to show a lot of ambition, because the competition is so big now that if you don't go above and beyond, then you're just going to get left behind. And he says all the right things that we don't really know what's happened, but he said all the right things. But yeah, you got to show that bit of added value and be ambitious. And unfortunately, in January, we weren't ambitious enough, and it's looks like it's going to cost us.
Yeah, it very much does. Do you worry that Arsenal, Jerome? Do you worry that Arsenal will again, because of this miss out next season, and potentially it's going to take us even longer to get back into those positions?
Yeah, that's the big worry, isn't it? Is can we attract the players that were on the Champions League list that we had? If those players only want to play in the Champions League, then it's going to be a bit of a problem. But if you can convince them somehow by selling Arsenal in an amazing way, whether it be with the manager that be working with the players that are currently there, the project, they want, if they living in London, you can still, we've bought very good players when we weren't in Europe, so it's possible. But that is the worry: is are we going to have to reach down into our second option bag to try to get those players? Because obviously that means you're going to be buying lower quality players than what you ideally want. And if we want to compete, like these other clubs are going to get much stronger as well. And so that's the main overriding worry for me, is that we don't get the players that we ideally want, because it seems to have been that's been the way in the past, and it doesn't normally work out very well. So yeah, they got to try their best to get those players that, even if they were in the Champions League, even if they were the players that was sort of they would have got if they were in the Champions League, they still got to try and do their best to try and get them in, I think.
Yeah, very true. Steve, how much did it have to play a part that the players were absolutely knackered at this point in the season on a squad which has probably rotated since, I'd say, October? Bar the injuries, there's not been much squad rotation, is there?
Yeah, I still think it was more lack of leaders, more lack of professionalism on the pitch. Just a lack of their bottle went when it came to, like, the business end of the season. I put it down to more than that, than them being knackered. I mean, they shouldn't be knackered. Yes, you're right. We should have a better squad. Our squad is probably the weakest out of the top six. So finishing fifth is probably, not a bad season when you sort of put everything in on a whole. But again, I think it goes down to the squad, Kieron. You look. Let's take last night. How big a game it was. Ben White wasn't fit. Gabriel wasn't fit for me. Tommy Ashew wasn't fit. Emil Smith-Rowe, I don't know. He's got to go and get on the weights, because he's getting bigger and bigger each time I see him. I don't know what was wrong with him last night. He was awful. So he's going backwards at the moment. Look, I'm only talking about in the last few games. He'll come good again. They'll all come good again. But I think it was more, mate, down to a lack of professionalism, a lack of experience, a lack of leaders, and the fact that they just bottled it is a harsh word, but they certainly couldn't handle the pressure, and that goes down to having a small squad, and that also happens that they're playing too much, and being tired does. But we haven't got, again. We go back to the January, and shouldn't they? Why didn't they see this? I'm not having it that Arteta didn't know this. He must know this. A manager always wants players to come in. He knows that they're knackered. He doesn't want to play Lacazette and Nketiah up front. Pepe's another one. He's done. He's finished. We give him a chance. He's got to go. But I think it was more down, mate, to a lack of what I've already said there. I just don't think they could handle the pressure on the night when it came to it. And you look at, we talk about leaders on the pitch. We talk about last night, and I don't think Ronaldo could have done anything last night if he was on that pitch.
No, I was gonna say, because there was a lot of talk about quality up top, but do we generally think that if let's just say Gabriel Jesus was in the squad yesterday, do you think he would have made any difference playing up front instead of Eddie Nketiah?
No.
I don't think he gets the ball.
I don't.
Where at what point? They had 69% possession.
Yeah,
over to 21%. I don't see where anyone up top gets that ball.
But I think if you get, maybe not just one Gabriel Jesus, but if you had sort of like a Gabriel Jesus and let's say you had a Thomas Partey there, we win that game. Because I think that just, we've all played football. If you're playing football, you go out there and you think, oh, bloody hell, look at the team around me this week, yeah? And next week, two of your best players comes back, and it gives you that lift. It gives the whole team a lift. It gives the players a lift. So if you have got a Gabriel or Jesus up front, it might make the rest of the players go, we love Eddie. We love Eddie. But he doesn't give you that sense of he's going to go and get an hat-trick. He's going to go and score. Whereas Jesus is up there, I'm not saying it will. It may just give you the other players that, a bit of a lift. And I go back to January again. If they would have done that.
No, definitely. It can give you a lift. But we've also watched Cristiano Ronaldo in an absolutely rough Man United team stand up there with his arms thrown about like, what the hell is around me? And he's got players around him that are much more experienced and probably a better squad overall as well.
I think you're right. I think the fact that if he was just up there, if you swapped him with Nketiah, probably wouldn't have made no difference. We wouldn't have won the game.
No,
we wouldn't have won it. We wouldn't have won it. We may have scraped the draw.
What my worry is like we're up against Dan Burn, and Lascelles, and we're lobbing long balls to them. Why are we chucking long balls up to Eddie Nketiah when Pepe come on, slamming up long balls? They've got a 6'9" defender and a slabhead defender in Lascelles as well.
Do you know why?
Why have we run out of ideas?
You just took the words out.
That was at the start of the second half. How did we come out first? Did they even go into the changing rooms at half time? Were they standing outside too scared because they might get in trouble from Mikel Arteta?
You're right.
Because literally within seconds, and then he lost the ball, and I was like, "Oh, we've actually come out worse." Oh my god, I fear for this second half because we are playing worse already within 2 minutes than that first half, which I didn't think could get any worse. It is. It's a big worry. What I was worried about was when I was hearing, I was hoping it was nonsense. When we was in a good spot, when we was in full spot, when I'm hearing Arsenal are only going to bring in a couple of players, like that's a worry. Like if you're looking at this squad that was potentially to go into the Champions League and thinking that they would only need to bring in a couple of players, first team players, whether that was going to be like starters, it don't matter. It does not matter. If you look at the bench, Charlie Patino, Marcelo Flores, Nicolas Pepe, Alexander Lacazette, Zach Swanson. Are we serious? Are we serious? Jerome, many people said that Arsenal weren't ready for the Champions League, which they weren't.
No,
they were far off it.
Yeah.
Was there a worry that this Champions League campaign will be wasted, or is it part of the process?
Look, I think it's beneficial for so many reasons. We're not saying we wanted to get in the Champions League because we're going to win it or do well in it, but it's everything it brings in terms of the additional money, the attraction for the players. It's a big, considering the position we were in like a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago to the position now, it feels like a massive opportunity missed. And we haven't had these opportunities the last few years, so they've been few and far between. So you really need to take them when you get given them. And we had two opportunities. We had two bites at the cherry: Spurs away and Newcastle away. And something that I've noticed from this team this season is that when we do go to a hostile ground, we crumble, and we crumble big. I mean, Brentford away first game. I know there was a few reasons, but that was a very hostile ground. That first game of the season got battered. Everton away, hostile. We lost. Didn't turn up. Man United, that isn't even a hostile place these days. But Crystal Palace is quite well known as being a hostile ground.
Hostile.
Battered. Newcastle battered. Spurs as well.
Go back to the Europa League last season against Villarreal as well. Hostile ground, the Villarreal's ground.
So that's either an issue with it being a very young team. That could be a part of it, perhaps. In addition to, obviously, we do need a bit more quality. But yeah, I've noticed that this season. It's not a fluke. It's not like a coincidence. There's something seriously wrong. We can't handle these hostile atmospheres. And look, it's difficult to play in these grounds sometimes. It's not an easy thing. But it's not losing at these grounds. It's like it's like a proper mismatch of teams, isn't it? In terms of getting absolutely humiliated, and it's just one-way traffic.
Yeah. Steve, I wrote that down, which Jerome was saying before he said it there. Atmosphere. He's right, though, isn't he? Arsenal players can't seem to handle an intense atmosphere, which is a big problem, because if we're talking about going into the Europa League, you want to play against teams in Turkey, Greece, like any of these teams, you're going to get a hostile atmosphere.
Yeah. We have won at hostile atmospheres this season, but I do get your point. There is a lot of times when, we went to Chelsea, we went to West Ham, and we beat them, very hostile grounds, London derbies. But I get your point. It is a problem. It's a big problem. But we go back to the same thing again. They're young. They're not used to it. But we talk about, Martin Odegaard's a great player. Yeah, he's good. We love him. Right? He's played at the Bernabeu, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
He's played at the Bernabeu. Ben White's played in the Championship, where there's many, many, many hostile grounds in the Championship. It's most even when they go to the smaller clubs. So I don't know. I don't know. They certainly. I think they have their moments. I think there's truth in what Jerome, what you're both saying there. But the reason why I think that they do is just sometimes where they're young, you go out there and your mentality sometimes tells you don't fancy it today because you're not on it. And I think that's what's happened about when you go, like you said about going Man United, going to Man United early in the season, Spurs and Crystal Palace and places like sometimes because they're young, sometimes it gets to them. Other times it won't. But that's still not good enough. You got Cedric there. He's played everywhere. He's a Portuguese. He's played in the World Cups, and But what I get you saying, what I do agree, right, is that there's Pacific players who can't handle it, and then Pacific players are the most really important players to us, right? Sort of like I'm talking about maybe Saka, maybe Emil Smith Rowe, maybe Nketiah. You're talking about possibly Gabriel. We can say that there's like 4 or 5 that are played in world massive games and been played all over the world, and it won't bother them. But if you've got 4 in your side that are not used to that, you're losing football matches, and that's what will happen. And until you start bringing old heads in, or they get more experience, it'll happen again next season. That's what I think.
Yeah. Jerome, did you genuinely think that Arsenal would get anything out of the Newcastle game?
Before kickoff, before I'd seen the first 30 seconds of the game, I thought we had a chance. Of course you do. We got, we weren't playing against like one of the best teams in the world. We're playing against a team that were bottom half of the table, with everything to play for. With
probably one of the most informed teams in the league, to be fair.
Yeah, but did we have a chance? Of course we had a chance. I think we were probably favourites with the bookmakers for that game. So yeah, but we just absolutely blew it. I thought it would be difficult. I thought it would be really difficult. And when we lost when we were losing the Spurs game midway through that game, I thought, right, Newcastle's going to be tricky.
How much do you think it had a bearing on that game and a bearing on yesterday's game?
It's hard. It's hard to measure. It's hard to say, really. I'll tell you what had the biggest bearing is the injuries and the fact that we probably played with maybe one fit defender yesterday.
Because Gabriel,
Gabriel fit,
you couldn't make a defender out of the two of them. To be fair, they were like
it looked
Ben
like they
White
were holding back a bit. It looked like they weren't like 100%. Did it? And I think Newcastle probably targeted that. They played a lot of balls into the channels for Wilson, and he was beating them to it every time.
Mm-hmm.
They looked dangerous from like long balls, Newcastle, didn't they?
Yeah, and we usually eat them up. Look, does Ben White score an own goal if he's fully fit? No, I think it's like you said.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, like you said, they're holding back a bit, so they're not got that full stretch. They're not made that run a bit earlier. They're not sort of proper stretch their legs out when they're going for the sprints. All these little things add up to it ain't going to be your day. And if you've got like Saka's another player. I think he's played nearly every minute of every game.
Yeah,
and he played the same last season, and he played every game in the Euros. Now I know that people say, or Mikel Arteta says that he's a young kid, he wants to play, but are we protecting our players here? Is players like Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, are they getting the protection they needed to make sure that their development is not hampered by what we saw with the likes of Kieron Dyer, Michael Owen, Michael Bridges? The names can go on. Steven Gerrard, when they're getting shin splints because they've been overplayed from the age of 17. Is there a worry there, Steve?
There is, but we've had to play him, haven't we? We've had to play him because we've got no one else. You rest Saka, we play Pepe. Yeah, all right, we know what he can do on his day, but his days are 2 in 10. Right, he came on last night, he passed the ball, first thing he did was pass the ball to a Newcastle player, backwards as well. I wouldn't mind if he tried to pass it forward and pass it to a Newcastle player. He passed it backwards to a Newcastle player as if he was playing a through ball to one of them. I mean, come on. And you're looking at, and we're talking about Smith Rowe and Martinelli, and we're at the end of the season, so we can say this. Those two ain't good enough to keep rotating. You need a hold ahead. You need. I can. Do you know what? He wasn't the right player, right? But I could see now why William came in because you need someone of that ilk to come on who's a hold ahead. Okay, William come on, didn't do shit all, right? But you need that type of player to come in to help a Smith Rowe or a Martinelli. You can't go Martinelli, Smith Rowe because the two are both developing. So you're not getting nowhere. You're not getting nowhere by.
And then Smith, then Saka on the other side. He's looking at Nicolas Pepe like, you're going to come on, and the bus is like, nah, he ain't coming on. Because when he does, look, Nicolas Pepe has probably not had the fairest of chances at Arsenal. However,
he helped himself though, is it?
Exactly. If we're talking about a professional footballer against Leeds, that when you've got an open goal because the goalkeeper is in your goal, in your area, the ball is coming to you, like your first thought should be to get it out of your feet, knock it on and run, or shoot. And he ain't there.
It always goes back to the squad again, doesn't it? It just always goes back. And look, I see a stat today, right? Well, not today. It was early in the week. About Kieron Tierney. He's played 52% of games since he's been to the club.
That's crazy.
That is that. We need a left back now. We need a left back now. We need someone. We can't continue with Kieron Tierney on that trait. I'm sorry. I know Arsenal fans love him, right? But you can't have your main left back who can only play 50% of the season.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, and the same goes. And I'll tell you what, the same goes to Thomas Partey. Same goes to Thomas Partey. Celtic and Atletico Madrid must be pissing their pants and rubbing their hands together. because they're never on Arsenal's pitch. And we've whacked out 25 million to Celtic, 45 million to Atletico Madrid. And they're thinking, my God, they don't play for Arsenal. Have they ever played a game? And it's like, it's not good enough. Who signs these players? I think it got to be said now. We know Tierney on his day, and if he's fit, starts every week. He's one of the best left backs. We know Thomas Partey starts if he's fit, but they're never fit. They're never fit. And Aaron Hickey, we're talking about Aaron Hickey, and Aaron Hickey ain't the answer. You need a Tagliafico. You need someone who can challenge him. You know, I don't know who's making these decisions, but going back to your point with Kieron Tierney, he's another one he gets injured all the time because he plays all the time. Maybe I don't know. He may be injury prone, but it may be because he has to play every week. You know, Liverpool played Tomascos and Robinson, and you know they can mix around their centre backs. They got like Kanate and Matip and Van Dijk and Gomez, and sometimes Gomez plays right back. And
it's the least of our concerns, but it's with Saka and the centre backs really. Like they've got zero competition. Like have they? Saka knows he's playing. Like I said, he's the least of our concerns, and he's been amazing for us, Saka. But just that little bit of hunger, being able to be rested, having some competition. These are things that players need. Same with the centre backs. And when it comes to the defence, we all say that, you know, if we've got our first 11 out, you know, we can give anyone a game. But that first choice back four, Tomiyasu, Gabriel White, and Tierney, they've played 10 games. They've played 10 games all season. That's one in four. So when we're looking at how many first choice players do we need, and we say, we just need a couple.
Yeah, it's madness, isn't it?
You need 4 or 5 people that you are happy with, very, very happy with, to be in your starting 11.
You have to have a squad who's a first team player, don't you, Gerard? It's not necessarily they'll start. But you need a first team player to come in.
I think previously it was the case where it was like, I think we spoke about it recently actually, where it was like, not every club, it's very hard for a club to have 2 teams. Man City can do it because they're fighting on 4 fronts. Liverpool can do it because they're up until the last game of the season, they're going to be fighting for the quadruple. And Arsenal can't. However, you've got to look at Arsenal's injury records. You've got to look at how young this team is. And you have to say, actually, this is an anomaly where you actually can do that. You can actually bring in players and go, look, it's like for like. It's competition. We want to go. We want to be on every front. We want to go for the Champions League. We want to go and try and win the Europa League next season. We want to try and push up in the league and win a cup as well. Do you know what I mean? So they've got to sell to these players. Not only coming to this team that wants to be in the Champions League and will be in the Champions League, not next season, but the following season, because that's how you got to sell it. It's a one season off. You've seen the progression with the team that I've brought in. Now you're part of that team and you can be added on that progression. But you've also got to sell it that you ain't there for backup. You're there for competition. You're there to fight for your place. I keep on hearing so-and-so don't want to come or so-and-so don't want to sign because he's not guaranteed starter. Good. Only Haaland, Mbappe, Neymar, they're guaranteed starters. They've got pedigree, though. We've got a World Cup winner in there. You ain't done nothing. You've won an FA Youth Cup, mate. Get out, get in the bin. Like, don't tell me that you want guaranteed starting. No, you will fight for your place. You will be on the bench. And when you come on, you'll make a difference. And then the next game, then you'll continue and then you hold your shirt. And that's what I mean. Jerome, you're 100% right. Yes, Saka's not the kind of player that potentially needs someone breathing down his neck to push him on. Because as Fabrice Muamba said, that kid is a footballing kid. He eats, breathes and sleeps football. There's nothing else he wants more than to be
great
the best.
attitude.
Great attitude. But he can't do it for 50 games a season, back-to-back 3-4 seasons in a row. You need competition. You need to come in and take his spot And he's now worrying that he might not get his spot back, and he's got to fight for his spot back. Not he's coming in because this guy ain't good enough, or he knows that Nicolas Pepe can't hold 2 games on the trot and have 2 good games back to back. I'm coming in. Same with Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe ain't ready. Yes, he's had a great start to the season, but you've seen to the tail end of the season that he's not ready because part of that is fitness, and he can't handle a full season. Martinelli, the 100 miles an hour, it's catching up with him. It's catching up. So next season, it won't be the 100 miles an hour from the start, but I guarantee he won't be able to finish the season. So we're going to have another dilemma. So we need to make sure that we bring in players that's going to fight for his spot as well. It's a big summer for Arsenal. And there's a little bit of worry that the backing that I thought that he may be getting after we saw it in the summer, it's a bit of a worry that it comes with stipulations and different sorts of hurdles that you've got to get over to get those players in. That's the worry. It should be you're the footballing people, you can get them in. If those players don't work out and we don't get anywhere in the league, you lose your job. And then I've got to sell them players for the next manager's going to come in and do something with those players. Because it's been, look, I love Mikel Arteta, but it would have been, if something's not done next season, it's 4 seasons. It's 4 seasons. You do have to start looking. Now, this season's been, I think, it's been excellent progression. We're talking about 2 back-to-back 8s. We finished 5th. No one even put us in this conversation. We're just miffed because we had an opportunity to get in Champions League and we threw it away. That's why we're moaning now. That's why in the season review, it'll be a completely different conversation. Yes, we'll still have a moan, but it'll be completely different energy because we'll be talking about this is what we thought at the start of the season and this is where we are at the end. So you have to look at his progression. However, there is still a big worry. There is still a big worry. And we do need to see that same progression next season as well. And that progression needs to be pushing for full spot and potentially getting that full spot. And this is kind of the corner that we've backed ourselves into now. It's because now we know we can get around there. We have to follow it up next season as well. All right. Big game. I'm going to go through the comments quickly before I talk about what feels like it's a dead rubber, but it can't be. It's a game that Arsenal have to go and win. Otherwise, it will be a really disappointing end to the season. All right, Stephen says, you guys have put the number up of Arsenal fans suffering with depression after watching that crap. Yeah, I know. Feel for you, mate. Arsenal fans hammering suicide prevention hotlines. I was there. Decent senior players to come in. Yep, we know 100% players need to come in. How much more do we have to suffer before the club gets a grip and sorts out the deficiencies that everyone could see? Surely they knew January we needed players. Steve?
Yeah, we needed players in January. As I say, like I'll probably do have another rant in the review, but I knew it. I knew you sell Aubameyang, you sell your top goal scorer, you don't replace him, and you got that was a mistake. We knew we were short in midfield. We didn't get him. It's both of those things have come back to haunt us. You know, massively. I think you're talking about earlier on, just quickly without it going into detail. Saka and Martinelli you were talking about. I don't think it helps. Or Smith Rowe. It doesn't help any of them when you haven't got a striker. And let's face it, they haven't had a striker. If they had someone to sort of help them out, do a bit of running and sort of lessen their load every weekend, then maybe they wouldn't be so knackered at the end of the season. But I don't know. I hope Mikel Arteta sees that. But I'm going back towards the board again for me on who to blame. But look, we need seriously need players. It's going to be very difficult to get them in. It's always difficult for Arsenal to get players in at the best of times. The only thing with Gabriel Jesus, the most important to him is that he wants to play football, and that's the main thing. He's got a good relationship with Mikel Arteta. He will be in Europe. So there's that. We talk about the Everton game. Look, we have to go out there. We have to show a reaction. We have to look. I've already said yesterday that they should be giving those new players that went up to Newcastle their money back. So instead of that, if they're not going to do that, go out there the weekend and and put in a performance against Everton. And look, who knows? Who knows? That's one of the reasons why they have to put in performance. Because can you imagine if something happened and we lost?
Oh my
So
word!
they have to put in a performance.
Honestly, I fear for Arteta and not the board because they won't do anything. I fear for Arteta and any other fans that will go and try and find him if Arsenal were to lose against Everton or drop points against Everton, and Tottenham were to lose against Norwich. I don't think I'd be able to come on here. I think I'd end up having heart.
Do you know what?
Attack.
Do you remember when last day of the season and we was all sort of having our feet up, and I can remember I was watching it. I think I was in a pub with the family watching the scores on the screen against them. Tottenham were playing Newcastle. Newcastle had been relegated, and Tottenham only needed a point, and they got beat 5-0. So. And Arsenal got through to the Europa League, I think, because of it. Yeah, so they've got to go out and they've got to put in a performance for many reasons. And as I say, I don't think beating Everton's going to, make Jesus or anyone else come. But for the fact that they need to show a bit of something after that Newcastle game, and to give us fans something at least to look forward to next season. And as you said, when the review comes up, we'll probably be a bit different, a bit more diplomatic than tonight.
I can't remember the last game Arsenal have lost the last game of the season. I can't remember. Like I could. It feels like ages. I can't remember Arsenal losing the last game of the season. I think I remember a draw years and years ago, but I don't remember any losses. Even when we go 1-0, even when we go down, we've come back and won. But this is a game where Everton may need to win. When Arteta went to America wanting transfer money, the Conquerors told him to F off and wait till the summer.
That's right. He did.
I think they did. I think that's what they did.
They did.
What did you say? We can't keep them fit because when they back, they have to do the way too much because the team around them is not good enough. Do you know what it is well, though? But do you know what it is as well? It's like 2 go out, and then when the 2 come back, another 1 goes out. 1 comes back, 3 go out. 3 come back, 2 are suspended. It's non-stop. It's non-stop. You've never got that team, and that's why the back four's only played together 10 times. Which I'm stunned to hear that stat. I'm absolutely stunned. That's a serious worry. That is a serious worry. And the fact that you've gone out and got, or you're looking like you're going to get a 19-year-old Scottish under-21 international who's been playing in Italy to be the stand-in for Kieron Tierney. Look, I'm sure Aaron Hickey is a top player. I mean, I spoke to Stevie Greaves a couple of years ago when Aaron Hickey was still at Hearts, and he was waxing lyrical about how good he could be. But still, like again, we're putting a lot of hope in a youngster. When we know Kieron Tierney's got a really bad injury record, we can't keep the lads fit. As we stripped the squad out of any depth in January, we brought no one in. It backfired massively. Arsenal identify a player, and Newcastle will swoop in. They did for Garamesh. And you listen to the Newcastle fans, you listen to people that watch Newcastle on a regular basis. He's been one of their best players since he's come in. So Arsenal. Same old Arsenal. All right. Quickly, Everton game. Jerome, thoughts? Have to get a win.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to win just in case, but maybe they will. There's not as much, I guess, pressure now because everyone thinks that it's all over. So maybe they'll come out and put a performance in, and it's at home. I'm sure the fans will get behind them, and maybe Everton will have nothing to play for as well. But they just got to go out and get the win, and hopefully they can put a team out Arsenal, because at the moment, like, everyone's half fit. So
it does.
Last game, just go for it.
Yeah, just go for it. Which is what they should have done yesterday. And if they would have gone for it yesterday, I don't think we'd be sitting here, even if it was a 2-0 loss, as angry as we are. I think it's because they rolled over, feet up, as Steve said, belly getting rubbed, and and then just lost 2-0 anyway. So, Steve, quickly, thoughts on the Everton game? Big game, just because of the situation, and surely they had to come out on a win, to go out on a high, to say thank you for the fans for being excellent this season, I have to say.
Yeah, go and end the season, on a high, because at the end of the day, the highest we can finish is 5th. So let's not go into next season with, a sort of, a terrible performance on the last day of the season, and also 3 losses on the spin. Let's give the fans something to, at least be a little bit happy about. And as you said, I've already said, you never know. I think we just got to go. I think we just go out and play our game. This is what I couldn't understand about, when we're against Newcastle. We never play their game. I ain't got no words for it. But we just got to go and play our game. Jerome's right. If we can put a team together, and then let's just lock them away, start again next season. But we've got to win the match for so many different reasons. And as I said, who knows? We've got we're in the Europa League. We finished 5th. It'll be a successful season. It's just we're all a bit pissed at the minute because of the way we played yesterday. Go out there, do the fans proud, and let's see a reaction. I think the most important thing, mate, is that we get a reaction and get the 3 points, and we can end the season on a high.
Yeah, you're right. Russ says, last one before we go, Arsenal play better when there is no pressure. Mentality, again, needs to be called into question. Hopefully they learn from this, Russ. Hopefully they learn from it. It's a bit worrying that they haven't learned from, or some people, it seems, who are in and around the team last season are not quite getting to grips with certain situations, and they're getting letting occasions get the better of them, it seems. Transfers need to be done. There's no early no pissing around. Yeah, you know it. All right, thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight. Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Melvin. Good to see you again. Thanks, Stephen. You managed to remember what time the show was. 8:00 every Tuesday. Has been for the last 2 years, Stephen. I'm not going to dig you out about that, though. Appreciate your support. You're one of the early ones as well. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Jerome.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure. Cheers.
All right, and thanks for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for having us, as always. And all I can say is, come in Norwich City, let's be having you. As Delia would say.
You know what? You know what? Like, I never thought that Burnley were going to do it. Like, we're going to get anything from the Tottenham game. I never thought, I'm still, like, there's not one bit about me that thinks that Norwich can get anything from the Tottenham game. However,
I'll tell you what.
What did my uncle used to say? You never know.
A funny old game. It's a funny old game.
Can't bet on
Tottenham
football.
did lose to Norwich last season in the FA Cup. And
Could be worse. We could be Manchester United. Hey!
Yeah, there we go. Although right now it doesn't feel that way. It
No.
really don't feel that way. Because it's the spuds down the road that are going to be taking the spot that we should have been in.
I
All
haven't watched football all day long. I haven't seen anything. I haven't gone on any Arsenal thing. I've stayed well away.
Yeah. I got into work and someone just decided to stare at me smiling. I was like, this is not the time to do this. This is not the time.
This is fighting time. If you
This is what it felt like. I'm not going to get sacked. Don't do this to me. Just walk away. All right. If you are watching on any of the other platforms, we are back on Facebook, as you can see. Anyone that joined us tonight, thank you very much. The ban has been lifted. So if you are watching on any other platform, make sure you join us. Smash that like and subscribe. Come and join us in the chat as well. If you are watching on Twitter, press the link in the comment section and join us in the live chat. Do not be shy. Someone said something at the end. Laters, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. So, peace out. Stay safe, people. Arsenal, please don't let me down against Everton. And wash your hands.